Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday already. Taco Tuesday. Good morning, Sterling. I'm glad your mom is making some small improvements. Thoughts and prayers continue. Thank you for putting in the couple. I only looked at Campbell's, which was a beat. Stock is flat. Looked at AutoZone, missing on both fronts, down, and it also triggered head and shoulders top. So, good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Royal Palms. I'm gotta say good morning to Zello. What else do we have? Thanks for putting in some other minor ones, but we're not going to go through Ferguson Plumbing Supplies, but I just did. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, David. There we go. Toll Brothers from yesterday was a miss and beat. Stock down. Hello, Charles. Hello, Patrick and Rusty over on Rumble, and a couple people in the background. Good morning to people in the background on YouTube and on X. So, quiet day. Little finally dropping below the 4-hour rotation zone yesterday. Little pullback to the daily rotation zone, at least in a couple markets. Setting up ahead of the Fed. Everything's quiet ahead of the Fed. It's technically a 2-day meeting, but the announcement isn't till tomorrow afternoon. What do we have today? We already had the ADP numbers coming out. 4.75K. Bounce up from prior of negative 13.5K. Business Optimism Index ticking up just a little bit. Red Book coming down from the prior. We've got the jolts from September and October, all the openings and the quits being released today. From September and October, not November. So that's rear-looking data. And also the leading index from September is getting released. So a lot of past data getting released. What else do we have? Good morning, Heinrich. Good morning, Anissa. That's it. Very quiet day. Doubt any of this is really going to move the market. Again, the market's waiting on the Fed so far going into this morning. Home Depot I didn't check for the Home Depot news. I forgot to do that. But it's down 2.41%. There's your AutoZone, down close to 3%. The mega caps are mostly down, except for NVIDIA. Very mixed. Consumer defensive, slight rotation into defensive stocks this morning. If we look here to groups, let's just refresh this. We have healthcare, utilities, and consumer defensive. So it's sort of a slight risk off day because that's generally where things rotate into when it's a risk off day. Consumer cyclical, comm services, technology all down heading into the open. Good morning, Holy. Good morning, Yogi. All right. Fed watch, interesting enough, we're not over 90% yet. Headed one day before. Very interesting. But if they do cut tomorrow, as is still at 90% odds or close to 90% odds, then it's a pause. A long series of pause, at least till Powell's gone. So that's what it's looking like. The market's saying, hey, or we get the cut, and then there's nothing more until J Powell's gone. Fear and greed dropping at the lower end of fear again with the minor pullback yesterday. Schiller PE 40.33. And I got a snoring dog under my desk. Good morning, Balaji. HD provided lackluster outlook for 26. All right, thank you for that, Patrick. Good morning, Jake. All right, we went through the earnings this morning. Thank you for Sterling putting them in, and thank you for Patrick for putting in the Home Depot news. After the close, we got GameStop. Is that still a thing at all? Cracker Barrel with the old logo. And we got Dave & Buster's. I'm real interested to see how Dave & Buster's is faring. That's going to be interesting. Tomorrow morning, we got Chewy, J. Jill. But again, not much. Tomorrow afternoon is, though, interesting. Oracle and Adobe. What else? Beautifully formed daily double on the daily Ferg. If it triggers, the second target fills the gap left behind. Let's just take a look at that real quick. Let's take a look. The markets are quiet. Don't do stupid today. Yeah, that is a well-formed double top. A well-formed double top. We'll just take a quick look at that. Huh? Fills, yeah, close to that gap fill and return to the potential 200 and the major key support level. Very interesting setup for Ferguson Enterprises. By the way, there's your auto zone, which was triggered yesterday. Shoulder, head, shoulder. And already looks like we're going to hit the second target already. So there you go. That one's playing out very, very nicely. Is there a mini 1 hour double bottom on the ES triggered? Well, now let's jump back to the ES. Is there a mini double bottom triggered? This does not qualify as a double bottom right there on the 1 hour. I was looking at this earlier. Not going to force anything today. Is there a mini double bottom? No, not yet. We might be setting up for a 4 hour potential double bottom, which is what I'm going to be keeping very close eye on. We have to get below 68.43.50. At least below that. And this is one I'm watching closely. That's why I'm sort of looking at it, highlighting it right now. And not drop below 68.27. Okay, so we have a little more pullback. Then do we, but if it dropped all the way down there, I doubt it would be good anymore with the targets. So let's just see. Let's just see. Because if we look at this, it's technically on the 1 hour and it does not qualify on that side. So this is the side we need it to. So you don't have to worry about that big a pullback, but it's got to drop a little more. It can't get below roughly around, it can get to the 87.5, pretty gosh darn close to the 87.5. If it drops below that, the targets do not work. So we don't even have to worry about this other side. So we can watch for a little pullback, and then it would have to reverse back above the peak of 68, 68.50. The key levels I'm watching, again, we finally returned to the daily rotation zone. We got a little momentum off the open yesterday. Little minor momentum selling. Got us back to the daily rotation zone. I'm still paying attention to about the 68.30 area if we do take out yesterday's lows. And then on a bigger pullback, I'm looking from 6,800 to about 6,805. Good morning, OD Green. So that's what I'm looking for. The only bullish thing I'm looking for is either this double setup or for us to start trading above and turn it into support about 68.65 area. So keeping an eye on that in the NASDAQ. NASDAQ has not pulled back just ahead of the daily rotation zone, but about 25,565. If we start taking out that, my major level is about 25,485 to 25,500 for support. If we get something that came out shocking, it'd be 25,350 to 25,400 for support. Again, definitely not looking for a lot of shorts ahead of the Fed meeting. And does this one does not work on the 4 hour, the 1 hour. Let's just see. Let's just see. Nope. So the key level I'm looking for then is about 25,725 to sustain above there on any rally. Other than that, I mean, if we set up with some 4 hour percent B buys, I'll be paying attention to those. if we drop down and paying attention to this, the daily rotation zone. And I'm not doing stupid. Yesterday's low is very key. Right now, we're trading against a pretty decent level of support in the Dow. This 47,740 area. If we do drop down, paying very close attention to yesterday's low. If we take that out, the major support level then is a 47,540 area. Key resistance, anything above 4,800 has been getting sold, and it has ticked off the 87.5. Remember that. The Russell, not pulled back to the daily rotation zone yet, so the key level I'm looking at is 25.05. Nothing different from yesterday. On a move back up, again, I'm not getting overly, even if we bounce overly bullish today because of the Fed meeting tomorrow, but we have a channeling pullback. So far, a channeling pullback. So my target area is roughly right about 25, 35 to 36. The first little area. Get this Fed meeting out of the way. VIX, again, slightly elevated going into the Fed meeting. Not surprising there. Yes, we have the very lopsided double. Still technically there. But that's about it. The DAX, no close yet above the 62.5. Still watching that on a pullback. I'm paying very close attention to 23,930. The yields pulling back. Yesterday triggered a little pretty sloppy inverse head and shoulders. Now we're getting a little pullback ahead of the Fed meeting. Not surprising with cycles at the top and overbought. More importantly, the 30-year not even pulling back yet to the horizontal neckline, which is the key area for the road rising rotation zone. So I'm paying close attention to cycles rolling over out of overbought conditions. So I'm going to be looking for this for, again, pullback entries, and there are ways to play this. Crude. Oh, Ross, you're snoring too much, buddy. Crude still pulled back to a key level of support. I'm going to be looking, there might be setting up with a minor percent beat buy bounce set up for tomorrow. We got the EIA numbers tomorrow, but not much today. If we do break below 58.62, the next key support is 58. Not been great trading in crude recently. Natty gas finally pulling back into the daily rotation zone. Going to be watching for a potential bounce set up here. We might have a percent beat buy tomorrow set up. Gold, not much. Still holding the daily rotation zones. There still is a sloppy potential minor double top with the rotation zone from the way of the first target. Pretty much holding support on the closing basis. The key support of this 42.12, 42.13 area, which is the 62.5. So, silver still basing sideways, rising rotation zone. Going to be looking for the breakout play upwards in that. Copper finally getting the pullback divergence up here. Cycles rolling over, so I'm watching into the daily rotation zone, specifically if we can pull back to about 525. Dollar index, after triggering the double, which is the minor pattern. Remember, not looking to short that because we have the major weekly double bottom is triggered. So nothing's changed. Either we do the percent B buy, or we pull back and I look for 4 entries lower. Euro, not much happening after triggering the double bottom. There might be setting up for a percent B buy tomorrow in the direction of the double bottom. There's not a lot of great stuff to talk about today. There's not a lot. Bitcoin still in the potential wave 4 corrective channel. Spiders, little gap down today. So the first thing would be to the gap fill from yesterday, 683.63. Key support is coming around the 681.45, 681.50. And then there's another pretty decent level of support right around 680.25. So again, there's limited downside unless something shocking happened. Little gap down the Qs. So the first thing to the upside would be to the gap fill 624.28. Remember, if we do rally after the Fed meeting, 629.98 is still the magnet price. Key support is coming in about 619.60 to 620. Now, what are you asking? What do you think of a IQQQ covered call strategy? Well, again, I haven't looked at with the covered call strategies in the I triple Qs, but if it's set up well and you choose your strikes well, that can work. You know, it grinds higher slowly, so that could easily work. Uh, and there's no major topping pattern yet. I'm just taking a look at the I. Don't normally look at the I triple Qs. So, I mean, you still got the 75 and the 87.5 harmonics to tick off, but that's definitely been lagging a bit. I mean, if you have a decent strategy, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'd just be watching for clear topping patterns because your covered calls are not going to be enough protection if we trigger major top patterns. Other than that, no, I have no problem with the strategy. What else do we have? Nvidia. No more double. No more double, but Nvidia's not been doing much. We still have Oracle earnings on Thursday. Oracle earnings on Thursday. Still going to be looking for a potential another rollover play, especially if we can push up into the daily rotation zone. But there's no great setup yet. We are getting overbought with cycles at the top. What do I look for to confirm failed breakdowns of key levels? Failed breakdowns of key levels as far as price movement and volume. Give me an example. It'd be easier to work with an example. But what do I look at? Failed breakdowns. What I start looking for is consistent buying pressure below a level and then setting up a new higher level of support. Using covered calls. Okay. I'm fine with that. I don't look at IQQQ. I'll have to look at that more. Let me see here. Let me see. So dividend yield, all right. Yeah, that's fine. I just watch for a topping pattern in it. Just watch for a topping pattern. Right now, there's nothing, there's no problem with that. Uh, so if you have an example, Sterling, we can go through, or you have a couple. Again, I look for buying pressure to come in and then to establish a new key level of support with some volume coming in to support that. What else? There just isn't much to talk about. Tesla, we got the pullback, nothing that's the double bottom. We've got the pullback from the downgrade yesterday, but nothing's invalidated the double bottom pattern. Still, second and third targets are intact, coming out of overbought with cycles rolling over. Still got the bottom of the rotation zone, so I'm still going to be looking for, again, slight more upside. This is not long-term bullish pattern. This is a short-term play. With that, if you want to give me some examples, even email them to me or text me, Sterling. We can go through them later. With that, I don't have much else to say because I'm pretty much not going to force anything ahead of a Fed meeting. Just going to be looking for today, see if this double sets up. If it does not, going to be looking for potential percent B 4-hour buy patterns and being very patient heading into tomorrow. Look at 68.47 level in ES on the 5-minute chart. 68.47 level from yesterday. So let's get to yesterday. 68.47. A 5-minute chart starting about 1:30 and breaking out at 3:55. You mean this little breakout right here? So again, I hate the 5-minute chart, by the way. Let me get to a 15-minute and take a look because I was looking at this yesterday afternoon. So here's what I start looking for. So we had the momentum down I talked about yesterday, minor momentum down. We then formed a lower low with key divergences. This is exactly what I was looking at yesterday afternoon. Formed a lower low, major divergences up here. Then we based higher. We based higher right here. Okay, could not close below 62.5 and formed a really nice base with some buying pressure down here between the 50 and the 62.5. And then it did break out with momentum going into the close. That's the exact thing. It's easier to see for me on the 15-minute chart. This, again, if we don't set up a double, I start watching for that 62.5 to hold, and we made a very strong base at that 62.5 holding. Now this was tough because you had to catch momentum, uh, right there. So that was tough to trade, but those are the kind of setups I watch for. Very strong shelf with a key support shelf coming in and no close below 62.5. And I liked it way better. I could spot it way better on the 15. Why IQQQ, in addition to generating monthly income, IQQ seeks long-term returns consistent with the tech-heavy. All right. Yeah, it's fine. I just watch for major topping patterns in the IQQQ. And if you get a major trigger topping pattern, I'd stand aside for a while. You're welcome, Sterling. With that, I shall talk to everyone later. Ooh, let's just see. Nope, nothing yet. All right, I'll talk to everyone tomorrow. Bye for now.